And I'm joined this week by a former Met. He is a 10-year player in the major leagues, played from 1986 to 1995 with the Mets and the Dodgers, California Angels, Chicago White Sox. He is a catcher, and people that know me know I love catchers. He is Barry Lyons, and Barry, welcome to Mets Musings.
Well, thank you, Gary. It's great to be on with you, and certainly fond memories of my days as a New York Met, and look forward to having a conversation with you this morning, and thanks for inviting me on your show.
You're very welcome, and we chatted a little bit about the tough time that we're having now with the coronavirus and no baseball, and we're just trying to make do, I guess, right, until it clears up.
Well, that's about all we can do. Obviously, our safety and our health of us individually, our families, our children, our loved ones, and everyone in this country and in this world, obviously, is what's most important. But yes, going through this time at home with my wife and my daughter and being somewhat secluded here is not easy, but certainly, as with anything, could always be worse. So we're just trying to do what's asked of us, trying to do the right thing and the next right thing, and praying that this will pass sooner than later, and that we can get back to some sense of normalcy, and certainly really hopeful that baseball will begin again sooner than later as well.
And you're no stranger to having some troubles. You were in the middle of the terrible Hurricane Katrina.
Yes, I was. That was an experience that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, Gary, and it took its toll on obviously all of us, as all hurricanes and tornadoes and natural disasters do on wherever the impact is felt. But 15 years ago in 2005, Hurricane Katrina, quote unquote, I guess, rocked my world in ways that we don't have enough time to describe. But certainly it was a very difficult time for me personally, but for hundreds and thousands of people, and a time that I've obviously grown from it and learned a lot of lessons from having gone through that. But like I said, I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy. But I'm a better man for having survived it and gone through the various things that I've gone through since then. But it's life can be tough, and we can certainly have to deal with a lot of different things. But when you put your faith in Jesus Christ, as I have done most of my life, there was quite a long period of time where I drifted away and fell off and went into some dark periods. But I have faith. I have peace. I trust that the Lord is in control, and I'm just being patient and trying to do the next right thing, and certainly praying for my family and loved ones, but praying for our country and praying for our president, praying for everyone that could be and already are affected by this virus.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing, and I can relate a little bit to the hurricane because we went through Hurricane Sandy here, though.
Yeah.
I was quite fortunate that I did not lose my house. We did lose all of our systems in the house. We had 8 feet of water in our basement, but it just missed. It was just short of our first floor, so we were very fortunate there. But I can relate a little bit to what you must have went through, though not completely the problems that you had. But so let's get on to a nicer subject. we all dream of being a baseball player and playing in a major league, playing in a big game. When did your dream start for you?
Actually, Gary, I was, I guess, blessed or was attuned to God's plan for my life early on as a young kid. I just was very passionate about baseball. I had a dad and three older brothers that were just sports fanatics, loved all sports for that matter, but baseball and football was the two primary sports that my family was drawn to above all the others. And I loved baseball from the onset of my life. And I can remember as a little bitty kid going to my older brother's games and just being consumed with it and just smitten with it, if you will. But I was blessed to know at a very early age that baseball was something that I loved and was very passionate about, and had a hope and a vision and a dream to be a big league ball player. And I just give God the glory and thank Him for that experience and for the realization of that dream that I had as a kid. And so baseball to me has always been something I've been very passionate about from the moment that I can recall of my childhood.
And of course, you played high school ball. You went on to college and actually got drafted by the Detroit Tigers in '81, I believe it was, in the 25th round. But you didn't sign, and you got drafted the following year in '82 by the New York Mets, and then when you decided to sign. What changed your mind in the year other than the moving up to 10 rounds, and any thoughts to have maybe stayed in again and see where that took you?
Well, in 1981, my junior year at Delta State University, which is a Division II college baseball program in Mississippi, I was blessed to play for an amazing man by the name of Dave Boo Ferris, who was a Boston Red Sox Hall of Famer, was a great pitcher for the Red Sox in the mid and late 1940s, was their pitching coach throughout the 50s, and he started our Delta State University baseball program basically from scratch in 1960. But I played 3 years for him. And that third year, my junior year, I was very aware that I would most likely be drafted. But unfortunately, I got hurt during that season, fractured the hammock bone in my left hand, and missed about a month of the season. And our team did not have near the season that we had hoped to have. And then being drafted, I was a little disappointed that I was not drafted until the 25th round, and the $1,500 signing bonus that was offered certainly was not enticing in any way. Even though my dream was to play professional baseball, just something inside of me, a gut feeling that I relied upon to make decisions, which I know now was our good Lord just kind of leading me to where He had me destined to go. But I chose to go back for my senior year for various reasons, but primarily I wanted to get it right. I wanted to complete my degree in business. I wanted to play my senior year for a man that I loved and a man that mentored me and mentored me not only while I was there in college, but throughout my career and throughout my life. And so those were the key reasons why I went back. And then I went back for a senior season that was exceptionally good in many ways. And me personally, I became an All-American Mississippi College Baseball Player of the Year. We went to the Division II College World Series and finished third in the nation. So it was a decision that I made that obviously turned out for the best, and then drafted by the New York Mets. While the signing bonus wasn't much to speak about, the opportunity was what it was all about, and I was just blessed to be a part of a great Mets organization in the 1980s, and I forever cherish those memories.
Now you go to camp, and you're a young kid, fresh out of college and everything. It's your first camp. What was that experience like? I mean, you dreamed about this your whole time. You get to a minor league camp first, but was it like? Did you have to pinch yourself when you got there?
Well, it's kind of weird, Gary. If I knew then what I know now about how scrutinized everything was, how you were evaluated and scouted just day in and day out, how basically every move you made was noted and documented, and people were watching at all times. And I didn't really think about that. That didn't play a part. I just loved competing. I loved the game of baseball. I loved winning. I loved the team concept. I loved being a leader on a team. I loved the camaraderie and the clubhouse and the dugout antics that went along with it. There was everything I loved about the game. I was just taking the next challenge, the next opportunity, trying to win the next game, trying to drive in the next run, trying to throw out the next base stealer, trying to get the next pitcher that came in to be successful. I mean, it was, I don't know that it was coherently, thought out each day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the process that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really looked too far down the road. My goal was to be a big leaguer, but I was able to keep it in the moment and just accept every challenge every day and tried to do the best I could and wanted to be the best player I could be. And I wanted to win more than anything. I loved playing the game, but even more so, I loved winning that day's game. That
Mm-hmm.
was so awesome.
Right.
That feeling of accomplishing your stated goal that day, which was to win that baseball game, and to be a part of that day in and day out was what motivated me, what moved me, and what ultimately led me to being a big league ball player.
And when you did, you played on 3 championship teams, the A, AA, and AAA levels. With the Mets had some farm system in that 80s.
Oh, it was phenomenal. I mean, there's no other organization I would dare say compared to the success. Yes, winning championships, which was awesome, but the number of players that came into the Mets organization and then were developed and were really taught how to win. I've
Mm-hmm.
managed in the minor leagues. I've watched the minor leagues. I've broadcasted the minor leagues. I don't know that there's been an organization in my lifetime or since I was a member of the Mets organization that has done it as well as the Mets did in the 1980s. Yeah, we could have won another World Series or two. Yeah, there were things that happened that took from the possibilities that were there. But all that being said, the organization was by far the best in all of baseball during that time, and the talent that came through there. I mean, the scouting was awesome, the player development was awesome, and then the championships that were won made guys not only develop their skills, which some organizations are about, development and not so much on winning, but the Mets organization at that time, winning was a huge part of the development process. And we won at every level. My first full year, we lost in the championship game in a very dramatic ending in the South Atlantic League. Otherwise, certainly could have won 4 in a row. and then winning in '86 with the big league club. So it was certainly a championship determined organization that won at every level, and that to me was so awesome to be a part of.
And you had to think that you were going to make the big club, and then the Mets turn around and they trade for Gary Carter. How did that, how did you take that? Did it bother you at all? Did you see it as still an opportunity to get better? What was your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, Gary, and the trade came in December of 1984, and in 1984 was the year that I really, took advantage of the opportunity and was an MVP of the Carolina League, had a great season. We won a championship that year, and I was, that's after that season was when I really knew that I was going to be a big league player. I didn't think that I was ready to be the starting catcher for the New York Mets in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go there, but I knew I was going to be a big leaguer. And watching Monday Night Football in December of 1984 at a friend's house, seeing that flash across the screen that the Mets made this trade for a perennial All-Star and eventual Hall of Fame catcher Gary Carter, I didn't know how to react. Part of me was excited that we had this great player come into our organization, and part of me was, a little disappointed that I knew he was one of the best players in baseball, that he was under a long-term contract and was one of the highest paid players in baseball. So a lot of those things sort of, disappointed me in a sense, but ultimately, Gary and I were good friends. I wouldn't say best friends, but we got along fine, and he was obviously a great ball player. He didn't like to take days off, and certainly I would have wished for and would have loved to have more opportunities to play during the peak of my career and from age 27 to 30, but unfortunately that wasn't the way it was. It happened, but nonetheless, I learned a lot from watching him. What a competitor, what a gamer. A great baseball player, but also a fine family man, Christian man, and somewhat vilified in some ways by players across the league and even our own teammates because he was I don't know. Gary just had a peace about him and a smile on his face and a competitive nature that rubbed some people wrong. But he was a great player and a guy that certainly earned his Hall of Fame status. And unfortunately, he blocked me in New York, and then eventually after he had left New York, and then I had left New York, he blocked me again and out with the Dodgers for one season. So, I've been started writing a memoir, if you will, or my life story a few years ago, but there's some aspects of my life that I just haven't wanted to dive back into some of the things that I went through, but certainly looking back on him and his life and the way he carried himself, great respect for Gary Carter and his career and his life. And matter of fact, I've recently reconnected with his wife, Sandy, who has since married again and is doing very well down in Florida. But Sandy is a wonderful Christian woman as well, and her and Gary had a great relationship. And looking back, Darryl Strawberry has said it, and others have said it that, he was a great example that so many of us didn't really follow off the field. A lot of us wanted to play and competed and did the things on the field similar or, to the degree that he did. But a lot of us, and myself included, during that era, got caught up into the trappings and the temptations of the lifestyle of the 1980s and being a New York Met and having the world at your feet, so to speak. It led many of us to some problems that later on in life that maybe wouldn't have happened had we followed Gary's lead. But such is life. You learn, you grow, and I'm blessed to be born again Christian, blessed to be free from addiction to alcohol and a lifestyle that started before I got to New York, but it escalated during that time, certainly. And I battled addiction for many, many years, but I'm 8 years to the good, and been blessed and redeemed, and I'm thankful that God lifted me out of the muck and the mire of bondage and addiction, and I'm just blessed and thankful to wake up every day with a peace and a joy and a freedom that I didn't know I could have when I was in bondage and then when I was battling addiction for so long.
But that was a tough team. That was a team that liked the nightlife, and I guess for a young guy getting his first shot in the big leagues, that was maybe it was not the best bunch to come up with.
Well, I take full responsibility for my choices and the decisions that I made and the lifestyle that I allowed myself to get involved in. But yeah, it was a time where I don't think we were the only teams doing all of that, but we were in New York. We were the top organization in all of baseball. We had great talent, but we also had a lot of guys that loved all the trappings that go with it, and the temptations that were there. And it was a wild time. I mean, it was crazy in a lot of ways. And obviously that type of team lifestyle can't exist anymore. I'm sure there's still some partying going on. I'm sure there's still some guys doing things that may compare or be similar to what went on when we played, but to the large degree, I don't think it's possible. Too much money, too much media exposure, too much social media. You can't do it, and but I'm not placing any blame anywhere other than on myself. I chose to do it, but it was a culture that I grew up in. It was a lifestyle that was there and readily available to anybody that wanted to get involved. And certainly I was a part of that, as were many of my teammates. But we had a great time, don't get me wrong, and had a lot of fun, and there were a lot of memories and times that I'll cherish forever. But sometimes that lifestyle and the choices you make have consequences later on, and some suffered those during that time, and some, more like me, suffered from it later on as that lifestyle led to addiction, and then addiction leads to a stronghold that the enemy has on you, and then choices and decisions that are made lead to things that you wouldn't have done in your normal right mind, but under the influence, all of us make poor decisions, more so than not. And certainly that was a lifestyle that I got caught in, but certainly free from, and thankful that I am. But it's been a journey, but obviously you can't change what happened, and all of it led to who I am today, and I'm very thankful to be who I am and happily married, and I have beautiful children and grandchildren, and just very thankful for the game of baseball and what it's given to me.
And you've given a lot back to the game of baseball, especially in Biloxi. You were instrumental in bringing minor league baseball back to that city, and I want to get into that a little bit. But first, I have you mentioned Darryl Strawberry, and of course, one of your other teammates is still having problems battling the demons that you talk about, and that's Dwight Gooden. How good were these guys? And Strawberry at least has seemed to have turned his life around, and Doc Gooden still seems to be struggling a little bit, but I don't even know what I want to say. I get so sad when I think about how good they could have been, and I always felt that they were too young and didn't have enough guidance, and had they had some more guidance, I believe maybe they could have avoided some of the temptation, and but we'll never know, of course. But how good were these guys?
Well, not only were they great players and great talents, but they're both great guys with great hearts and wonderful teammates. Darryl is, 17, 18 years clean and sober, an ordained minister, preacher. He's sharing the gospel and helping save lives all over the country, speaking and sharing his testimony and preaching the Word of God and doing amazing things in his ministry with his wife, Tracy. But Dwight, we exchanged texts just a couple of days ago, just checking on each other. I've been very diligent about keeping in touch with Dwight and encouraging him, and he's doing very well at the moment. He's had, periods of his post-baseball playing career where he's been sober, where he has been making the right choices and doing the right things. But, he keeps finding a way and keeps falling back into that trap. And I've prayed for Dwight and will continue to pray for Dwight. I love him dearly. I stay in touch with him quite often and try to encourage him. The Christian Addiction Recovery Program I went through down here in Mississippi, where I gave my life to Christ, where my mind and where my whole being was transformed and I was set free from addiction. I really encouraged him and tried to get him to come here and to get out of New York, get out of New Jersey, to get away from, all of that swirling around him. I don't think he has the accountability partners up there that he needs. And when he's kind of lonely and vulnerable, that's when the enemy strikes. And I just try to encourage him. But I think he's been doing very, very well. I know last summer he had a couple of slip-ups. I don't know what he's facing legally, if there's issues, where that stands exactly. Right. But I'm praying for him. I think the world is Dwight. He is an absolutely sweetheart of a guy. He's got a heart as big as anything you can compare it to. But like all of us, we're all flawed. We all have issues. And I believe that he's on a good path again. Excuse me. Certainly, I'm doing what I can to help him and encourage him. But wonderful talent. Yeah, I see a lot of, some people really bash him for for, you know, not being Hall of Famers, for not. They both had good careers.
Mm-hmm.
They're both human. They both made mistakes. Right. I mean, who didn't? I mean, you know, you can look down the list of hundreds and maybe even thousands of guys that could have, would have, should have. If they would have done this, they would have done that. If they would have did this or didn't do that. I mean, you know, those guys, they laid it on the line. They had great careers. You know, they weren't Hall of Fame careers. They made mistakes like all of us did.
Right.
But theirs were compounded because they played in New York. Theirs were compounded because were who they were. Black, young superstars that really didn't have accountability, you know, and some of that's on the Mets, but I don't place it completely there by any means. But, you know, these guys, they lived their lives and they made some poor choices. That doesn't make them bad people. That doesn't make them, you know, they shouldn't be vilified or talked about in a way that, well, they wasted. They did. You know what? Not everybody's going to be a Hall of Famer. That's what makes it a Hall of Fame.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you know, everybody, you know, walks their own journey, goes through walks, and they had great careers, but yeah, they made some poor choices and did some things and got caught and, you know, in bad situations and you know, that affected their lives, their careers and their families and everything. But, you know, as Jesus said, who among you, you know, wants to cast that first stone? I mean, a lot of people throw a lot of stones at Dwight and Darryl, but they're good people. I love them to death, and I think the world of them. And Darryl's been doing amazing things for the kingdom of God and helping others. And Dwight has been battling and hasn't quite gotten it completely yet, but we're all a work in progress, and I love them both, and I think the world of both of them, and they both had really, really good careers. Yeah, they could have had better ones, but so what? That's life.
And, you know,
get over it. People, let them be who they are. And I tell Dwight all the time, and you know, at first I think he didn't like it, but I said, Dwight, you're not Doc Good no more.
Right.
That guy's gone.
Right.
I said, you're Dwight Good, the name that your mom and dad gave you. You're Dwight Good, and you're a good man, and you still have a lot to do yet in your life, and God has a purpose for you through all of what you went through. There's still good that can come from it and will come from it. But you've got to let go of Doc Good and be Dwight Good and look forward and not backwards.
And you know, I've heard him interview, and he sat in on SNY a few times. He was in the stands, and they'd go down and talk to him when I think it was especially when Matt Harvey was still here and pitching, and his insight. He's got a lot. You know, I think he would be such an asset to a major league team if they gave him a chance to coach, because he has so much insight. I mean, it was fascinating sitting and listen to him talk about pitching.
Yeah. Oh, I was with him in Mets fantasy camp in January, and yeah, you should see the guys that just gravitate to him and the love that he just pours out to everybody. I mean, you know, these are Mets fans from generations, and they adore him. But he's just so humble and so loving and so kind to all these guys. I mean, they just think the world of him. But yeah, he knows pitching. He's had some great instructors, Mel Stoudemire in particular, that really helped him and really, you know, helped give him confidence. But they taught him, and obviously by the way he pitched, yeah, he had some great God-given natural talents, but he knew what he was doing out there. It wasn't just all on physical ability and athletic ability alone. Believe me, Doc was a very smart pitcher to go along with obviously having great stuff. But he probably not given enough credit for how smart he is, but he's just a humble, soft-spoken, just kind-hearted, good dude, and I love him, and I cherish the time that we get to spend together, and certainly praying for him and hoping and wishing and praying for the best for him.
And as you said, not a Hall of Fame career, but a great career nonetheless. And look, he accomplished, as Strawberry accomplished, things that millions of people wish they would have done.
Exactly.
And essentially, even yourself. How many of us wish to play? You played the major leagues. I mean, how terrific and fantastic was that?
Well, it was amazing. It was a dream come true. It was something that I worked for and prayed about and sacrificed for and dedicated myself to, and so did those guys. And we're, like I said earlier, we're all human, and we're all are a work in progress, and we all are flawed.
That's
and
true.
None of us are perfect. And people that just bash, Dwight and Daryl make me kind of ill, because they've accomplished a lot. They both multiple time championship ball players on winning teams. They've had great seasons. Yeah, they might have fallen short in some ways, but God bless them. And it's not about numbers. At the end of the day, it's what kind of person you are, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we're all going to meet our Maker one day, and my goal in life is to help and to guide and to lead others to come to know Christ, because one day, we're going to face Him again, and I'm a strong believer, and I want to encourage and help anybody and everybody to know the truth that Jesus Christ is the only way to eternal life with the Father. Not the best way, not a good way, but He's the only way, and that's my sincere belief, and I trust and believe in every word of the Bible, and I'm thankful to be a born-again Christian, and I'm going to share that every moment I can. And certainly Daryl's doing the same thing, and Dwight has come so far, and so many people. If there's anything that can come of this whole virus mess, I'm a believer that good things will come of it, even though as tough as it is and as hard as it is for so many people. For we know all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. I believe He has a purpose and a plan for every living soul, and I pray that people will turn to Him during this time, that Jesus would be the center of attention and keep our focus on Him and not the storm that is surrounding us. And we'll all get through this and be better off for it. But obviously it's affecting a lot of people, and there's, all the forecasts and all the experts calling for 2 and 3 more weeks, and who knows how much more in the way of deaths and confirmed cases, et cetera, et cetera. Only the Lord knows. And I don't believe.
Hello? Oh, no. Whoop. We lost him.
Hey, Gary.
Hi.
I was still hearing you, but I guess you couldn't hear
Oh,
me.
yeah. No, I did not hear you. You just kind of dropped off, but we're back, so we're good there. And
Okay.
you were saying about the virus and how we're all going to get through it and put our faith in the Lord and we'll make it.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that, and I just trust Him. And we're commanded to adhere to our leaders, the commands, and we got to do what we believe to be the right thing, and trust in God first and above all else. But we've got to look out for our fellow man. And while maybe some of us may not be vulnerable to this, obviously the older generation is more susceptible. But all of us are candidates, or certainly possible to be infected. So we gotta try to do the best thing that we can, and try to do what the medical advisors and experts tell us. And people were quarantined in the Bible. They said to go behind the doors and wait it out, and that's what we're being asked to do. And I pray that people would take it to heart and do what's best, not only for them, but more importantly, or as important, for others. And anyway, I do believe we will get through it. This too shall pass. But until that time, we've got to be patient. But I'm missing baseball. I'm missing normalcy, if you will. But some things are going to come back and return just as they were, and some things are going to be different, both good and bad. But if you're a believer and you trust in the Word of God, that good will come from it and come of it. But we've got to be patient right now, in my opinion, and trust the process, and trust in the Lord, and trust in what our medical experts and our leaders are asking us to do.
You mentioned baseball coming back, and of course you were quite instrumental in bringing minor league baseball, back to Biloxi, Mississippi, and Major League Baseball's been looking to I don't know how you would classify it, but they want to modify minor league baseball. Was Biloxi on that list of teams? And what will they do to fight that if it comes to pass at all?
Well, I'm thankful to have played a key role, especially early on, in planting a seed 25 years ago at the tail end of my playing career. I had a vision and a hope, and something that I presented to the mayor of Biloxi back in 1994, and wanted to bring minor league baseball to my hometown. I just love the family entertainment value of it. I just love everything about baseball in general, but minor league baseball to me is such an amazing unifier in a community, and something that people can rally around, and just the smiles on the faces of not only just kids, but everyone that comes to the ballpark to enjoy what minor league baseball offers is such a blessing. And I wanted that desperately for my hometown. And I worked 20 plus years towards that goal, and a lot of people played important and key roles in making it happen, obviously. But I'm thankful for my role in it. I'm thankful that we have. This will be, once we get started, our sixth season in the Southern League AA. We're an affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers. first 5 years, the team has played in the championship series of the Southern League. 3 of those 5 years, unfortunately, have not won it yet, but have had great seasons. The contraction that you're referencing that Major League Baseball is put out there that they're looking to do after this contract this season comes due with Major League and Minor League Baseball does not affect Biloxi. So I'm thankful for that. But there are 2 teams in the Southern League that are on that list, Chattanooga and Jackson, Tennessee, both teams. But I'm hopeful that's not the case. But I do sort of sense that a lot of the rookie league level franchises will and leagues will probably be eliminated. I don't know anything for certain, but I have some people that work in the Major League Baseball offices that are friends that I talked with, and it's real. They're probably most likely going to eliminate some teams and some leagues, but I think 90% to maybe more of that's going to be at the rookie league level. College baseball has grown so much in the last 25 years, and this game is evolving, and there's more people that didn't play the game that are making more decisions, both in the offices of the leagues as well as the offices of each organization. I don't agree with certainly all or certainly most of the decisions and moves that are being made and have been made, but baseball's still the greatest game. Hopefully they won't screw it up to the point that it's not, but I'm not in favor of all that has been done and it is being done with the game itself, but it still will be the greatest game, and certainly I'm thankful to have minor league baseball in my hometown and to be a part of that and be an ambassador. I do some broadcasting. I do a lot of community representation of the organization. I'm very involved with it, but the ownership stake that I could have, would have, should have had didn't materialize for various reasons, and certainly not going to go into all of that right now, but I'm just thankful that we have it. I never got in it for the personal reward or financial gain of it, and I wanted it just for my hometown community because I saw the joy that it brings. I saw just all of the good that it represented in minor league baseball and in big cities and small towns all over this country, and that I've been blessed to play in or manage in or broadcast in. So I'm thankful to have that here in Biloxi, and this is something that I wanted to do for a legacy that's left. My hope, my prayer, my goal was to bring something to my hometown community that will be enjoyed generations from now, and that I would be remembered for having a part in that, and my family name would be associated with good things through baseball for my hometown. This is a very baseball-oriented community and region, and baseball in our great state of Mississippi has catapulted to the top in the last 25, 30 years. Our college baseball programs are amazing. Junior college baseball, high school baseball, and bringing minor league baseball here. We've only had one professional sport in this state forever, and that was the Jackson Mets originally, which was the Double-A Mets team that I played on. And now we have 2 minor league franchises, the Atlanta Braves Double-A team in central Mississippi, and now going into our 6th year, the Milwaukee Brewers affiliate Double-A franchise here in Biloxi. So I have a connection to both, and very thankful for that, and just looking forward to getting this 2020 season underway. But obviously, we're on hold right now.
And Biloxi is a beautiful area. I have a cousin that lives down there for years, and she just loves it down there. And you've done a wonderful job down there for your hometown.
Well, Gary, I thank you, and I hopefully once this season gets back underway, whether it's this year or in the future, I'd love to have you as my guest and come out to the ballpark and take in a Biloxi Shuckers game and experience a game day at our beautiful ballpark. We have a great organization. The game day experience is phenomenal. We have a beautiful ballpark overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, and it's literally 500 yards from where I grew up. I mean, this ballpark that I had worked so hard and hoped to be a part of making happen for 25 years. God has blessed me and blessed us in such a way that this ballpark is literally in the neighborhood I grew up in, and it's pretty amazing when you really look back at it, or when I look back at it, think about how all this came to be, and I just give God the glory. I know it's because of Him and my faith and trust in Him, but my dreams, my visions, my hopes, my goals, my prayers have been answered tenfold, and I'm just thankful for that. But there's still more to do, and we're all a work in progress, and certainly I have my flaws like we all do, have issues and have struggles, but keeping the good Lord first, and my wife and my family next, and certainly baseball is high on my priority list, but certainly not number one. But I'm thankful for the game of baseball, thankful for everything that it's given me, and for everything that I've been able to experience through it, and certainly thankful for my time as a member of the New York Mets organization. I don't know that there was a time that could have been greater to be a member of the Mets organization than being with them from 1982 to 1990. Yeah, they won this in '69. They've been close and been there in '73 and 2000 and 2015. But the '86 Mets certainly have a very special place in Mets history.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just the '86 Mets. '85 through '90 were some great teams. And if we'd have had wild cards or three divisions in, there's no telling what coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I'm not a what coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of guy. But, second place in New York might as well be in last place.
Yeah.
But we were, the other years that I was there, '85, we lost to the Cardinals. '87 lost to the Cardinals. But a close second in both of those races, and then '89 to the Cubs, but '86, '88. And obviously, if you were a woulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda kind of guy, obviously 1988 to me was a year we certainly had a chance to be world champions, and we'll leave it at that. But it was a great time to be a New York Met. Let's just say that. And while we didn't win but one world championship, we were an organization and a team that was excelled, and maybe came up a little short a couple of times when, quite possibly it could have been a different story, but such is life, and I'm thankful for having been a part of that.
And we are thankful that you joined us today. And what an inspiration you are to millions of people. And I hope you get to finish that book, because I think that would be an even more inspiration to lots of people. And Barry, thanks so much for joining us today.
Gary, thank you. And please, if you do come down to visit your friends, please let me know. And I'd love to have you as my guest, you and your friend and family and whoever, and come out to the ballpark.
Okay, thank you so much.